Before we start, Mr. Pboric, the court has thoroughly reviewed and considered the record concerning defendant's trial, including both the guilty and penalty proceedings, as well as the memoranda submitted by both the state and the defense. The court has also evaluated and weighed the aggravating factors. The jury has found to exist beyond a reasonable doubt, and the mitigating circumstances established by the evidence. The court acknowledges that this way is not a quantitative comparison, but instead requires a qualitative analysis of each aggravating factor and each mitigating circumstance. The court has assigned an appropriate weight to each and finds that the aggravating factors found to exist heavily outweigh the mitigating circumstances. The court agrees with the jury's unanimous recommendation based on its own assessment of the aggravating factors, weighed against the mitigating circumstances. The court finds that the aggravating factors substantially warrant a sentence of death in this case. Therefore, the court finds that the sentence of death is the appropriate penalty the court should impose for the serious homicide at school, as charged as count 1 of the indictment. Accordingly, as to count 1, for the first-degree murder of all 5 students, the defendant, Pboric, is hereby sentenced to death. Defendant shall be delivered into the custody of Mbokya's Department of Counterfeiting at Mbokya State Prison, where shall be confined until a date certain selected by the governor of the state of Mbokya, and that date the defendant shall be executed in a method provided by the laws of state of Mbokya. As for count 2, for the sexual battery of a victim more than 12 years of age by defendant over the age of 18, committed against Dayton Middle School, Pboric's defendant shall be sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. As to count 3, aggravated child abuse of 2 students, defendant shall be sentenced to 3 months imprisonment. Counts 1, 2, and 3 shall run consecutively to each other. However, the 2 cases you pled during pretrial will run concurrent with count 1 is hereby notified that this sentence is subject to automatic review by the Supreme Court of Mbokya's counsel will be appointed by separate order to represent defendant for that purpose further. Pursuant to Section 866390115 Mbokya Statutes, the defendant has 20 days from the issuance of a mandate from the Mbokya Supreme Court of Corrections affirming the sentence of death to elect death by asphyxiation, required by law. Mr. Pboric, your death sentence is scheduled to June 13th, 2025.